Everybody, calling to order do we have some feedback? No. Monday, June 9th, Planning, Energy, and Environmental Quality Committee. And we have all the members in the chambers. It's great. And so first what we want to do is we'll go to public comment, and we do have at least one person that wants to speak. So we'll do that first. And here's the rules for speaking under privilege of the floor. I agree to a 3-minute time limit. I agree not to raise my voice. I agree not to use lewd, obscene, profane, slanderous, or libelous language, or speak or act in a manner that would intend to incite a breach of the peace. I agree not to speak about county personnel matters. Personnel matters may include comments about the job performance of named county employees other than elected officials. After 3 minutes, I agree to leave the microphone and yield the floor. Transferring time to another person is not permitted. I agree to be courteous and not make comments, gestures, outbursts, or other disruptions while other members of the public or legislators are speaking. I agree that if I cause a disruption and am asked to leave, I will leave the chambers. So those are the rules, which actually probably took more than the amount of public comments we'll have today, so I appreciate everybody's patience in that. So we have one person who submitted that they wanted to speak, and is it Allie? Well, I'll let you pronounce your name, and you go right up there. You speak about 4 to 6 inches from the mic is good. I don't know if you can, or about there.
All right, my name is Allie Hartung, and I am a summer intern for the New York State Water Resources Institute. I am working for Kristen Eichchat, who's right here. We are using MyCoast to increase community engagement and flood resilience planning. Yes, and we're doing this in New York and Tompkins County specifically. So today I want to talk about MyCoast, which is a tool that allows people to share and track photos of changing water levels, shorelines, and hazardous weather impacts. These photos are linked with environmental and geospatial data and stored in a single database. And FloodWatch is a type of report within the MyCoast app, and people can use these reports to capture and track flooding across the state and within their community. And these reports can depict inland non-tidal flooding as well. FloodWatch reports can help inform flood resilience planning, and data from these reports can show areas of recurrent flooding and fill information gaps in existing data sets. And this is especially true for smaller scale events of flooding and in headwater systems. And we are hoping to connect with potential municipal users that have photos of past flood events to create a larger data set for Tompkins County. So this summer, we are targeting municipal historians and emergency managers to encourage their use and familiarity with MyCoast. We eventually hope to connect with other municipal users, including highway departments, Department of Public Works, and the Tompkins County Soil and Water Conservation District. Please contact us if you have any questions, or if you'd like an individual or group training on how to upload photos, or have us upload photos for you. And if you're interested in further information on MyCoast, I have handouts available with Christian and Mai's contact information. And for those online, my school email is adh227@cornell.edu. And I have Christian's.
Is that on the card you're giving out?
Yes.
Okay.
This is also a contact on these cards if you don't want the further information on the forms. But Kristen's email is kch235@cornell.edu. Thank you.
Pardon me, MyCoast, is that MYCOS or?
Yes.
And this will be on
MyCoast, yeah.
And this will be on the information you're handing out?
MyCoast, COAST.
OAST.
Oh, yes.
See, that's.
So we have a light agenda, so I'm just wondering, are you guys going to be here for a few minutes? Mm-hmm. If you want to hand that out, and then, we could see if there's a time in here if people have questions for you. We could talk about, do you want to have those now, or we could contact them later. But if you want to hand that out, and folks can look at that as we go over the next couple of things on our agenda, is that okay with the group?
Yeah, and I was going to ask if we could put the link in the minutes.
That'd be great. Yeah, thank you. And so while that's going on, let's see, get back to my agenda. So the next is changes to the agenda. So what I think I'll do is when we get down to the chair's report, I'll ask if anybody has any questions of these folks. So that'll be in a couple of minutes if you guys are here. And see if anybody wants to ask anything there. And so also for changes to the agenda, I asked Terry Carroll to come and talk to us just briefly about something positive that has happened. Hi, Terry.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, so some of you might be aware, we applied for almost, it was $1,786,149 in clean energy tax credits at the end of 2024, November 15th to be precise. We were supposed to get payment within 90 days, which was, I think February 15th, and that deadline came and went, and we were a little bit worried and apprehensive that the payment was never going to come. But on May 30th, we received a check from the federal government for a little over $1,800,000. It included unexpectedly $43,099.44 of interest. So they gave us some money for delayed payment from our clean energy tax credits. So we're really excited to see this funding come in. So a big portion of it is going back to the Green Facilities Capital Fund. It's about $1,747,767, and that's coming as a result of the geothermal project that we did at the Public Works facility. And then about $38,000 was destined to go to the Green Fleet Fund. We're now going to make it around $80,000. We're going to take that interest payment and put it into the Green Fleet Fund as well to help support buying and leasing more vehicles. So we're really excited to have that money in hand. Like I said, there were a lot of times where we weren't sure we were ever going to see it. So really excited to finally have that money and be able to continue to do the good work.
So congratulations. I'm so glad. That's a lot of money. So thank you for helping get that for us and help add it. And so how much was the interest, the surprise amount?
Yeah, it was $43,000, just call it $43,100. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Someone, I said, was there enough money to, to have a party? And apparently it was, but you've already allocated it to the green facilities.
That's the plan. I'll say that Greg, who's part of F&I, will see it. We're taking a resolution to F&I next Thursday to ask to be able to do that.
Well, that's really great. And thank you for coming, because it's really important. It's a lot of money, but especially with, a lot of things we're worried about or things that aren't available anymore. This is, I think we should really make sure we celebrate this. And I didn't get here in time, so we didn't get the balloon drop up.
Oh, no.
But next time.
There's always next time. Yeah. It looks like these credits might not be around much longer depending on how things go, but so hopefully there will be a next time, but we'll be prepared.
Well, thank you, Terry. Great work. Great work. Thank you.
Rich? I know it's a little odd that we're applauding the federal government doing what it promised to do. This should be dull, but I'm so happy to get that news. I was curious, there was a program here in Tompkins County trying to help people put in EV charging stations. Is that still going?
So
and is it funded?
Yeah, so our department put out an initiative with other municipalities to seek out, it was an RFP for EV charging stations. We got a bunch of results, so the county has moved forward with a contract with GreenSpot to put in charging stations at the airport. I know the city of Ithaca is also moving forward with GreenSpot to put in a variety of chargers. I know Dryden was interested at one point. I don't know if they've committed to moving forward with it. But yeah, we haven't heard too many other municipalities take it up at this point, unfortunately.
Are those just municipal sites? I'm asking for a friend, of course. But no, well, actually, I have a commercial property, and it was at Block Power reached out to me to put in a couple stations, and then it just all went dark. And so.
Yeah, I don't know what the status of Block Power is at this point. I know that they were going through some reshuffling. But there's a lot of other vendors that have reached out that submitted bids. And we know that there's actually some great funding from New York State currently. The Charge Ready program, I believe it's called, from NYSERDA, provides funding for private entities, nonprofits, and municipalities to apply to get a lot of incentives to put in the charging stations. So we can be happy to share that information with you. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else, Terry?
That's it from my end.
Other questions for Terry? Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
today. I appreciate it. And I also, for under changes to the agenda, to see, so Norma Jane is tuning in remotely and is not feeling quite up to par. So I wanted to give Norma a chance, if she wanted to report now, so she can take it easy, but I'll leave it up to Norma.
No worries. I'm sorry I couldn't be there today, but no, I don't really have a report for the committee today. Thank you.
Okay, at least then you don't have to wait for me to worry about me asking you.
I'll be here.
Okay, thank you so much, Norma. Any questions for Norma? Okay, thank you. So we'll go back to our agenda, and we're going to go to minutes approval. They're on packet page 2, so thank you for doing those, Taylor. And would someone like to put those on the floor? Greg moves, Veronica seconds. Any discussion, suggestions, changes? Okay, all those in favor of passing the minutes? All right, those pass unanimously. Great, thank you. And let's see, so for the chair's report, as I said, I wanted just to see if folks had any questions on the MyCoast app or this information. Was there also a card with some additional, because someone talked about extra, someone else's email. Did you want to? Did we get that? Oh, okay. All right, so we got that. All right. Okay. All right. Got that. Thank you.
That's me, by the way. That's mine.
That's your card? Okay, thank you. So you're Kristen. All right, thank you. If you're ever interested in coming back to give us a little presentation on how this works, like for about 15 minutes, to walk us through, if you're ever interested, we'd love to have you, to come back, because it looks like in general, you're asking people to put in information about real time when they're seeing floods, to help, to add to the data of what's going on real time, and then to help with, planning, right?
So it could be both.
Yeah, do you want to come up to the mic?
Yeah, you're welcome to add real-time information and historic. So the idea would be that you can flesh out sort of the history of flooding in an area a little bit more clearly with, it can be pictures from a newspaper even, but it could be, we just had somebody in Caroline upload a bunch, maybe 70 photos from maybe 8 different events. And they were, different times when she had experienced flooding in her backyard.
Oh, wow. So even just in somebody's backyard?
Even in somebody's backyard. And again, yeah, it could be just down in your park. I put one in from the parking lot on Fall Creek down by Stewart Park. There was some flooding there. But yeah, fundamentally, I think Ellie handled it well. But fundamentally, you all know, we have these big flood models from FEMA.
Right.
There's a lot to talk about there. But they really handle main stems. They don't go into the headwaters at all. And they also, some of this historic piece is not really captured. They look at that when they're building those models, but that's not the main thrust of those.
Rich, and then Greg?
Yeah, I'm curious, have you presented to the Ithaca Common Council?
The Ithaca Common Council?
City of Ithaca.
No.
I think we are very close, one storm away from a really bad flooding event here in the city, because the dredging hasn't happened and the creeks haven't been cleared out. This kind of program might be really useful for a lot of the people, say on the south side.
That's a great point. Ithaca, what did you say?
Ithaca Common Council,
Okay.
it's the governing body for the city.
City of Ithaca.
Okay, that's a great idea. I'll just briefly say that I have presented to the Water Resources Council we presented to the Tompkins County historians, municipal historians. I live in Caroline, so I presented at the Caroline Watershed Committee. We've been at the Caroline Watershed event. These folks were out at the Ithaca Fest, and we're looking at other ways to get the word out too. So that's some of how we've gotten the word out so far. Big picture, I wish I had a map. Maybe next time if I come back, I can show you. We're doing well at getting this usage uptake in sort of the tidal parts of New York State. So there's a big program in New York City that this project has been used for, this app has been used for.
Tidal?
Oh, sorry, tidally influenced,
By the bigger lakes, you're saying, or rivers, or ocean?
So basically Long Island, New York City, and the Hudson, where there's up to Troy, basically, that's where we've had the uptick so far. But it's a really important tool that could be used and might be very helpful inland as well. It's not just useful in tidal areas. So we're trying to get Tompkins County is sort of a case where we're trying to get people to pick it up and use it a little bit and should demonstrate the usefulness of this approach.
Okay, yeah, well, let us know if you can contact me and or Taylor if you want to get our information. Before you leave, you could email us to get on the agenda, but does it sound like something folks would be interested in learning more about?
Yes.
Seeing
I'm happy.
unanimous nods, so.
Great.
Well, I heard a presentation at Water Resources Council, but yes.
You think it's appropriate for this?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And when, Greg, you done, Rich? And then Greg?
Thank you for being here. I spend most of my other time of my day at the lake, and I'm very interested in how the water rises and lowers and the impacts we have. Are you looking for tributary pictures? Are you looking for like pictures where, wow, there's a lot of debris that a culvert may not operate properly, or it may spill out into the road and it's maybe causing flooding that if cleaned or properly maintained would be working? Are you looking for like large debris that ends up in the water? Yes to all of it, or
flooded docks.
Yes to all. I mean, I would say right now, and maybe it makes sense to be a little more focused. Right now, we're taking a little bit broader brush of, I think we need more participation for it to be useful at all. But I think you're right. I think things like, so in New York City, they have a program where it can help direct attention to infrastructure that's, clogged or something like that. It's sort of a way to get information. But it also, one example, again, I'll bring this up if I come back, but the town of Southampton in Long Island, they actually use it in their emergency management. So they have a room like this where they have screens up with their tide gauge, and then they have the MyCoast map. So the data from the app actually feeds into a map data layer that you can just pull up with other data layers, and they have that going while they're making their real-time decisions about emergency management. So sorry, long kind of roundabout answer to yes, I think those would both be, or all the examples you gave would be really useful examples of using the tool. I've mostly been talking, and Allie would mostly been talking about the flood reporter tool, really thinking about like what is the extent and impacts of flooding. There are other tools in there that actually go beyond flooding, that look at, like, you could put in a hailstorm. You can put in the impacts of a hailstorm, which I know they did up in the Kettle Lakes area. There's one other tool that may or may not be useful here, but basically you have a little cradle, you can put your phone in, and through time, people take photos of a place and they show erosion over time. It's built in the back end. There's a model that kind of helps develop. They understand how erosion is happening. So that's sort of the back end, but front end, all of that information I think could be very useful.
So focus right now is just adoption of the tool, people getting an understanding,
yep.
And then pare it down later as maybe more location-specific data could be better harnessed.
Yeah, I mean, I would say our primary focus right now is focusing on getting information into flood planning, things like maybe the hazard mitigation plan, maybe a resilience plan, something like that, particularly around these small headwater events in probably, let's say, the last 30 years, something like that, to paint a better picture of really what is happening, sort of like you were mentioning, Rich, about like really understanding what is happening currently, filling in the gaps where, the models are excellent, but they don't do certain things. They weren't built to do certain things. And so can we fill in those gaps with this kind of information?
Very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I used the QR code and got to the site pretty easily. And, it looks like the app, which is mentioned on your handout here, it seems like that would be a really easy way. If we downloaded the app, you can just snap a photo and add a little report in there. So it seems pretty user-friendly.
We've been working with a group in the Kettle Lakes, the Kettle Lakes Lakes Association, and the woman who's kind of running that effort, she said it's very, very easy. And she is self-admittedly not a particularly tech-savvy person. And yeah, there's an app for your phone, and then you can also do it on a desktop or laptop. There's an interface. And again, you can put in new photos, just like you're saying, snap a picture, put it right in, or you can look at your, I think I have some pictures of my backyard from 1997. Let me see. It's a slightly different process, but it's also quite easy. You just kind of then have to point on a map to say where it is, put the date in. It's really pretty straightforward.
Does it say in there how far back you want history?
You could go as far back, honestly. I mean, it is interesting as far back. We've talked with the planning department, and they've said that most helpful to them would be in the last 20 to 30 years.
Okay.
For these kind of planning efforts, but honestly, it will take any information, honestly.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kristen, to you and your folks for coming in today. You're welcome to stay. But
Great.
Yeah,
thank you so much. Thanks for your questions. And we're happy to come back, definitely.
Okay, great. Thank you. Also for my report, I wanted to mention a few things that are going to be happening in the next couple of peak meetings that Taylor is helping us organize. So let's see, July 14th, our next meeting, we have Darby Kiley from the Planning Department giving us a presentation on New York State wetlands regulations and a general overview of the water resources work that's done by the Planning Department. Also in July, we'll have a follow-up report from Cornell Cooperative Extension. And August 11th, Abigail Connor from the Planning Department is giving us a presentation on climate resiliency and flooding work that their department is doing. And you folks are also welcome to attend. We have, in case you don't know, all our meetings are on Zoom. You could ask to get a link if you want to give a comment, but you can also just watch them on YouTube. We have the county has a Tompkins County YouTube page. I think I got everything. Then next we're going to go over, it's fairly light agenda today, but the bulk of the items we have today are from our planning department. So we have Kat and Leo here. What did I say? Planning? Because I said planning 5 times there. From our Department of Recycling and Materials Management, we have Kat and Leo. Sorry about that. And did you want to go right into the we have 2 resolutions. Did you want to go right into them, or did you want to say anything first? Because we could put those on the floor. It's up to you guys.
We can go right into them if you
ready to go into them.
If you've got any questions on them, happy to answer any questions.
Okay, and then so we'll do the 2 resolutions, and then we have the leachate report, and then I'll ask you at the end if there's anything else that you want to discuss. So packet page 9. A resolution supporting deconstruction and building materials for reuse. Would someone like to put that on the floor? That's put on the floor by Veronica, seconded by Rich. Okay, what would you like to tell us about that?
Sure. So this is a follow-up to kind of our conversation at the last meeting about the potential of bringing a non-binding resolution in support of deconstruction forward. This demonstrates support for reuse. It recognizes the need for expansion of kind of growing that service or growing capacity in the community and expanding furthering building materials reuse. Deconstruction, I think as everyone here is aware, is kind of the act of taking buildings apart piece by piece, and there's a whole spectrum by which that can transpire. And this is really supporting building materials reuse as well as that spectrum. It aligns with our local solid waste management plan, which is really looking to further diversion from the landfill and moving materials out of the waste stream. And I can share that, to my knowledge, there's been 2 other communities in New York State that have passed resolutions supporting deconstruction, and that would be the city of Auburn and the town of Dryden. So I'm not aware of any currently county ones, so it could position Tompkins to be one of the first.
And so right now, there's no other municipalities in the state, did you say, or the county?
In the state, the ones we're aware of is the city of Auburn and town of
that's right,
Dryden.
Auburn's not in the county. I go up
yes.
I go up to that way a lot, so it's in my area that I'm often in. But right, Auburn is not in here. So those are the only 2 so far
that
have done a
aware of,
resolution
yeah.
in support of deconstruction and building materials reuse. Okay. Anything else on that?
I think that kind of highlights it. I'm happy to answer questions.
Okay. Rich?
I was curious. It seems like for deconstruction to really be effective, we need to think about changes to building codes.
Right.
To time it properly. Over and over again, the planning process is built around wait, and you finally get your building permit, you got to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so it actively works against. I'd love to see some specific recommendations coming out saying if a builder is committed to deconstruction, they should be able to get permission to do that. And there's some good faith in it, that yes, you will build your building after you've deconstructed, but I don't see how we ever get there otherwise. And it's kind of outside of county control, but are there any initiatives at the state level you're aware of to do that?
I know that the state has been looking at different ways to further, and it is a conversation that, you're familiar with crowd, circularity, reuse, and zero waste development, I believe is the D. And they have really been working both at the local and at the state level to kind of further and elevate reuse. You might remember the white paper that we referenced at one point, or perhaps they even came and presented that. So I think it is getting more attention at the state level. And I think there's certainly things that at the local level, whether it's kind of the even more local than the county level, as far as like building code goes, incentives to promote that. Can we incentivize by looking at the timeline? Can you get in earlier for deconstruction, or is there a mandatory waiting period for demolition to kind of create that equal playing field? There's certainly some different strategies, and I know there's a couple of resources that we could share afterwards if that would be of interest.
Great. Thanks.
I think we'll learn a lot with the center of government. With what Orel has been working toward with Holt, and there's a lot to learn. There really is. One of the things we've offered to Orel for our department, a role is just documenting some of those things that go well with the project like that. Some of the challenges that we come across. So I think there's a lot we can learn working with Holton and facilities on that project. Yeah.
And what do you, sorry, Rich, are you done?
Yeah.
Your questions for now? What do you hope, what do you think these type of resolutions will help with?
I think the goal is to really elevate and raise awareness for deconstruction and kind of continue to build that momentum on the conversation. I think Leo referenced one of the projects that's currently under consideration, continuing to kind of build on that, learn from kind of how things are working through, and just, again, to continue to bring that conversation into the community as well.
And so we do have Crowd. Is Crowd the main group? I mean, I know they're also now statewide, but as far as communications locally with different municipalities, is that happening, do you know, with crowd or other groups?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, I know one meeting recently with Holt, there was a representative from Finger Lakes Reuse that kind of specializes in that world of deconstruction and outlets for materials. And there was an individual from Cornell, I believe. That also, so there's some talents there outside of course, just what we're trying to do. But I don't know if I'm aware of anybody else.
And I do also, I have seen that Crowd has kind of brought things forward, like when the town of Dryden considered that resolution, Crowd did a presentation. So I think that is something that's certainly on their radar is communication. But I think there's probably some opportunity for increased conversation as well.
Right, because I know with energy efficiency, sometimes as we were improving the standards for energy efficiency for buildings, sometimes we'd have local municipalities up their energy efficiency standards. But really what made the biggest impact, I think, is when the state changed the building codes. I know the IDA also made that as part of their incentives for many years, but then the building codes caught up with what they were asking developers to do. So, we know it'll take action probably on both ends. And if this is something that can help raise awareness and show our support for this, I hope that helps. Any other questions before we go for a vote? All those in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. And then your next resolution is on packet page 10. And this is Reuse Services Award of Grant, Finger Lakes Reuse Incorporated, ID 13348. And then there's information on the packet page 11 about it also. So would someone move this? Veronica moves it. Greg seconds. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about this one too?
Sure, absolutely. So there is I think you might have just referenced, sorry if I missed that, the summary on the packet page 7BA. So this is, reuse is one of our 4 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle, rebuy. It's an important piece for the department, and as we look at our local solid waste management plan, we really think that reuse is one of the components that's going to help move the needle for diversion. We just talked about building materials reuse, for example. This, we worked with purchasing and developed the first of a kind bid for this. We were directed that, to continue to provide reuse services to this effect. That was something that we would need to do. We received 2 responses. Finger Lakes Reuse was the lowest qualified bidder. They are a nonprofit that's been in operation since 2008, offering community reuse services on a variety of different strategies. And the intent is that this is a 3-year contract for these services, and each year there'll be kind of a specific 1-year scope of work for that. So this initial year really looks at infrastructure, thinking about materials intake, so donation intake, as well as redistribution through retail services, making sure that there's a place in the community that offers this for a wide variety of materials. It provides education and outreach. It is intended to help support and kind of bring back the reuse trail, which has been a little bit dormant for the last few years as Get Your Green Back has phased into other work and kind of put that on pause. So that's going to bring back that updating of the reuse trail. And really one of the things we see with that is both elevating the profile of reuse in the community and highlighting all the different ways that it's currently happening through various retail outlets and operations, whether you think about the traditional reuse stores or whether you think about antique shops or some of these other activities that are happening in the community that are elevating reuse and moving reuse forward. And then the last piece is preliminary planning or kind of some research and conceptual understanding of the potential for a central distribution facility. What we've heard from some of the reuse stakeholders in the community is that there is just so much material being generated, and having a centralized facility where material can come in, be processed, and then kind of put back out could be a really valuable tool. But we feel we need to understand that better and learn a little bit more. So that's kind of the initial phase of understanding kind of what are some of the key components that we would want to get our arms around as we look at that. Did I miss anything?
I think the only thing I would add, the education outreach, that I believe we get reimbursed about 50% of that. So we will get some back through a grant with the DEC from the education outreach component.
Okay. Just that one part, you think? Okay.
I believe it's education, outreach, and planning.
We'll get
is what
about
are typically eligible expenses.
Okay, so they could be about, you said about 50,000 in grant. Or did I make that number up?
I didn't say 50,000. I'd have to look at.
Okay, well, some of them, okay.
Yeah. 50% is
Oh,
what we get from
50%,
the state.
okay.
We anticipate that 50% of the project would be eligible cost, and then we receive about 50% in
Okay.
reimbursement from the state of that.
Okay, Amanda?
Yeah, thanks. I had never heard of the reuse trail before. So I pulled it up on my phone, and it could definitely use some upgrading. It's not mobile friendly, and but what a great resource that it could be for, anybody for this whole area, to look up stores and options and, whatever, lots of information. So that's great. If that could get improved upon, that would be wonderful. So that's all.
That stalled out.
Yeah.
So that stalled out, and that was one thing that we wanted to revive, and the best way to do that was to bake that into this RFP and revive it. And again, like Cass said, we're supporting all the other entities in some fashion as far as just listing them on that reuse trail. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many local
sorry.
stores of all kinds, so it's great.
Yeah, there was a book that was put out years ago. Was it Rethinking Waste? But maybe that's just, I'm thinking of a newer term.
The
But
redirectory?
The redirectory, right? I have a copy of that, and that was, I mean, it's outdated, but I use that as my, go-to of what do I do with this? So, Rich, did you have your hand up, or no?
No.
No? Did you want to have it? Now that I've drawn
certainly,
attention?
I think we're really fortunate to have an organization like Reuse. This has been a great partnership between your department and that not-for-profit. The leverage we get from using them is really pretty impressive. So I'm obviously supporting the resolution.
Yeah, this is things we've been talking about in the working group, and I know our legislator Brown has been talking about this, and for a long time, the part about looking at a distribution. What would that mean? Could we do it? So looking into that, a little bit more. I know that might not be the way to go, but it's, the goal, I think, is something that we could probably all wrap our heads and hearts around, that it would be a way to make it just easier for folks that, I have this, this empty bottle, and, what do I do with this? Or, or whatever that is, or I have this, these are still working, so you don't, please nobody take them. But, I have this cord, what do I do with it? And what are the options, and how can we make it easier? I can't remember, there was something like packing peanuts, for instance. I wanted to recycle recently, and it was like, I had to go up to College Town that I could find. I had to go up to college. It's like, I no offense on folks that are in college, but during the sessions of Cornell, to drive up to College Town to go on one of the main streets, the busiest streets on College Town Street. It was, I made it up there, but it wasn't, just to find parking and all that. And I'm like, well, what energy am I wasting, and, and the time. And anyway, so I'm really happy that we have this, we're going forward with this. Any other Also, I wanted to say that I'm glad it's a 3-year contract versus just one, so that it's much easier for, I'm sure, your department, I would imagine, and then easier, for reuse to know, since they were awarded the contract, that we have a 3-year commitment, so it's probably easier on their end to plan.
Yeah, exactly, yep.
So thank you for doing that. So I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor of this resolution? Okay, that's unanimous. And then you have the leachate report on packet page 13 and 14. Would you like to guide us through that, Leo?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we thought we'd give you a bit of good news on the heels of us coming to the committee last year and reporting on our high volume issue and high expense issue and price increases at the wastewater treatment plant. But what we've got to report would be that blue line is what we budgeted in 2025.
So this is in black and white.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But if you...
The middle line?
The middle one, okay.
The middle line is our budget, and that budget is actually based on a 3-year average.
And that's the 20, so the dark one in the middle is the 2025
budget.
Budget,
The middle line's a budget. That's showing 1,916 gallons. So that's what we budgeted based on a 3-year average. The top line that you have, that's 2024's actual. So that kind of shows the month-to-month volume. And that was a large spike last year. And then the bottom line, right up until around June 1st, is what we've actually seen in gallons this year, year to date. And then we try to project out from this point to the end of the year. So good news is, that we are not seeing the volumes that we've seen last year, nor the expense. And that's really what we wanted to report. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Does the rain and the precipitation that we've had, pretty much ongoing since November, contribute to this in any way? Or is it something that takes its time to work through and then you'll see it delayed a couple, weeks or months later?
Yeah. That's a good question. We look at this. We can look at this daily. We record daily type volumes. We do 7-year averages. We take and look at the high years and try to make some sense out of it. And it's pretty difficult. I've talked with our engineers. Precipitation certainly plays a role in the volumes, but we were kind of shocked and surprised with it just seemed like the amount of rain that we've had this year, that we're not mirroring what we experienced last year. We get to this time of the year, I think we're a little delayed this year. I'd almost project a little higher because I think we're still doing 2 loads every other day out of Caswell. And the peak last year was 3 loads a day, every day when we were experiencing that top line of the actual, yeah. But we've talked with the engineers up at Barton and Judas to see, can you go solely on precipitation or rainfall? And no, you can't. Yeah.
So in some ways, that's good that maybe all the rain isn't going through and percolating through.
Yeah, and managing that too is taking care of the cap. So the vegetation, that's mowed certain time of the year to stay healthy. It's inspected to make sure that there's no kind of sinking, if you will, to create kind of a hole where water can pond, and then that's ultimately gonna sink into the ground. But cap maintenance is pretty important. That can affect volumes.
Rich?
That was my question about the cap. And are there things we could be doing to upgrade our cap? Or I assume that's a pretty expensive proposition.
Yeah, I was actually wondering the same thing, so I'll add on to that same question. Is there anything, cutting edge or, that they've learned over the years that it's to plant different things or to take care of the cap in a different way?
Nothing I don't think that we've really looked into as far as the cap goes, other than just, maintaining what's there. We have looked at on-site treatment of leachate, which, do you remember the year that we got that information?
I want to say it could have been as early as 2014.
Yeah, so at the time, the recommendation was not to invest in a system like that, but our costs have increased so much. That's one thing that we could do is take another look at that to understand, how that's changed. And the older a landfill is, the less it's a weaker leachate. And I'd still like the thought of on-site treatment and, just get rid of the transportation and the treatment at the wastewater treatment plant. Yeah.
Go ahead.
How many years ago was it you looked at on-site treatment?
We were just trying to think. 2015. 2016, we can
Is that something you might be able to dust off and bring to this committee? Would that be something we'd be interested in looking at?
Yeah, if that's something you could let us know when that could go in your work plan, if that's something, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't too long ago. I think we looked at that and surfaced that. So, I mean, we certainly have it handy. Would you want us to just submit that to Taylor and distribute to the committee?
Yeah, I think I was suggesting we should just have a conversation, nothing formal, but just to try to get some sense of parameters. Is this worth looking at? And then maybe doing a update with who are the engineers who?
Barton Judas.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Scott Norstrand at the time. But, our costs have doubled since then, too. Just processing at the wastewater treatment plant had more than doubled.
And you don't control those costs. So, yeah, if that works for you guys, let us know, when, I know you guys are really busy, but if you guys can fit it in some time to just start to look into it, and I would think, as Rich said, just a discussion item. You can talk to Taylor about just adding that in. Just tell us, what you're starting to find out.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely look at that and get it set up.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else on the leachate?
No, I don't believe so. I thought I'd just make mention, I believe we had gotten a date out for landfill tour up at Caswell, July 11th. Remember?
Oh, I don't have that off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just trying to look that up. Does anybody have that July 11th?
1:30 to 3.
Thank you.
1:30 to 3.
Is it okay to meet there?
Meet there? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. I think we'll.
I know if others may coordinate from here, but I just wanted to make sure it was okay to show up independent if that makes more sense for some.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'll be out of town. I'm not sure I'll be back by then. I might miss it,
All right.
unfortunately.
Sorry. All legislators invited?
We invited all the legislators, some of our folks from planning unit invite, and Corsa and Norma from admin. Everybody who's internal with the county.
I mean, if you're not going to be going, Annie, I'd be happy to send an email to those people and just say, do you want to coordinate driving, or some people are going to meet there, or you could do that. I don't know. It would make sense to reach out to folks and try to coordinate if possible.
Great. Do you want to just resend the invite, because maybe you'll have more people?
Yeah,
That
sure.
would, I know sometimes we all get a lot of emails.
I will do that.
Thank you, Amanda. Anything else from
I
your
thought I'd
department?
just make mention, so back November of 2022, we submitted for our 360 permit, operating permit at the facility. So this was November of 2022. We just heard back from the state on that permit renewal. So this is a permit that allows us to operate that facility and, all the conditions and whatnot related to it. So
that's your recycling and
to operate the
garbage?
facility.
To operate the whole facility,
Yep.
okay.
So that's our.
From New York State?
From this, yes.
Or
state
DEC?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just got that draft permit back. We're reviewing that we've got some comments or questions for the DEC. But I just thought I'd make mention that that's certainly in the works.
Okay.
Yeah, that right along with the solid waste management plan. That's all I've got, I think.
Okay. Any other questions for Leo or Kat? All right, well, thank you for coming today.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Thank you.
just to let you know, you were the only thing on the agenda, but, we decided that, we didn't want to hold up your resolutions, and it's always good to see you. So thank you for all the work you're doing.
You're welcome, thank you.
Does anybody have any member reports, committee member reports from anything? Okay, all right, then, Taylor, do we have anything else? We're looking good? Okay, then, keep forgetting to do this. We are adjourned.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.